Okay, so I talked about this in my newest community post, but I've got 3 videos coming at you guys over the next however many days. I just don't know how many days because I don't know when this video is going to be going up. I know it's been a while, but I finally have some stuff. One of the videos that I'm doing is that music video I've been teasing for a while. Sorry it took a while, I was just trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go in. But I've got 2 gaming related videos in this series that I want to do first, just because the topics of them, the longer I wait to talk about them, the more dated they become. I also will probably only film 2 videos tonight and then 1 sometime later, probably tomorrow, just because it's probably going to be a big strain on me if I do 3 videos at once, especially because I don't exactly have a quiet house right now, as quiet as I'd like. And it's pretty late and I just really have to start filming these videos, so yeah, that's as best as I can say right now, but I'm back. Sorry it's been a while. I'd love to do more of these if, you know, it was able to pay me, if I had more time to do them. But I enjoy doing them and I'm glad to be back doing them, and I've got a lot of good stuff that I hope you guys will be excited for the rest of the year. But we've got another topic to talk about right now, so let's just get right into it. Welcome back to I Want to Talk About, the series where I take a topic and I just sit on camera and I blabber about it. Because that's what I'm good at doing, blabbering. And as you can tell from the title, today I want to talk about the latest Nintendo Direct for September 2023. It's September, and you know the drill by this point. That means a Nintendo Direct just happened. You probably know it as well as I do, but there are always 3 Nintendo Directs every year, just about, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions. But generally there's 1 in February, 1 in June, 1 in September. Naturally, the cycle continued this year, and we had our latest Nintendo Direct a few days ago as of the time of the filming of this video. I did a video on the June 2023 Direct, which I really enjoyed, but that one I had much higher expectations for because it was coming off of the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was by far going to be Nintendo's biggest game of the year. So there was a pertinent feeling of what's next. But then Nintendo went ahead and announced the whole holiday lineup, so going into this Direct over here, I can't say I had as high expectations. I kind of knew what was coming and just kind of expected we were going to see a little bit more of the holiday lineup, as well as maybe a few games that Nintendo is planning for 2024, at least for the early half of the year. Also, even though it's probably the biggest game Nintendo has left for the rest of the year, I did not expect to see much of Super Mario Bros. Wonder because it just got a whole Nintendo Direct devoted entirely to it. So I was just expecting to see some of the games we already know about, maybe get 1 or 2 surprises thrown in, but I was just hoping to be entertained. And ultimately I mostly was, but this Direct was a bit milder than some of the other ones. Obviously I have the whole list of everything they showed here on my little script beside me, but don't be surprised if I blow through a lot of these because there are a lot of, as Scott the Woz would say, it looks fines in this lineup, and that's why I say it was a little bit milder, because quite a bit of the first party stuff that they had was great and I was really excited about it. But there was a lot of just in between, a lot of stuff where I was like, okay, that looks alright, I guess, or that probably looks cool if it's something you're into. Otherwise, I would say it didn't really, like, make my brain melt as much as previous Directs did. Well, outside of one moment, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Because starting off, the first thing that we got to look at was the Splatoon 3 expansion pass, the side order DLC, the second part of the Splatoon 3 DLC that I believe the first part, the Inkopolis, released earlier this year. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't grab the DLC pack myself because I didn't think it seemed that substantial for what I like out of Splatoon. This side order package looks like it's a little bit more substantial as it's offering more of a single player campaign, which is more preferable to me as one of the few people who play Splatoon for the single player. I don't know if I gave my thoughts on Splatoon 3 in the last Direct video. I will say I enjoyed the game quite a bit. However, I do consider it my least favorite of the bunch just by way of it not feeling that much different than the other Splatoon games. I was kind of expecting a little bit more, a few more changes to the formula. But I do still like the game quite a bit, and I do like that Nintendo, despite Splatoon being a very online-focused multiplayer game, is still willing to to throw a bone to people like me who enjoy Splatoon for the single player, and they continue to release single player expansions for the Splatoon games. So this looks like it'll be pretty fun, but please do not be as difficult as the Octo expansion was. I am not crazy into a lot of super difficult games, and while I enjoy the Octo expansion and I was able to get through it, there were some points where it just felt absolutely insane as far as difficulty. It does look like the missions in this expansion are going to have difficulty levels, so that sounds good. I might look into it. It sounds like the price for the full expansion, because it's not available by itself, you have to get it with the Inkopolis stuff, is about $25, which isn't too bad, so maybe when this comes along, I'll give it a look. It's coming next spring, so I guess we'll see when the time comes. What I'll also see is if you guys can hear that frickin' fire truck or police siren or whatever that is. This camera picks up a lot of noise, so there's a cricket chirping and there's like all the sirens going off. If there's a lot of background noise, I'm sorry. I didn't want to film this at 11 o'clock at night, but it's the only time that I can right now. Anyway, on to the rest of the Direct. Moving on from there, we got a pretty cool announcement. Mario vs. Donkey Kong, a full remake of the original Game Boy Advance title 20 years after its original release. I did not see that coming. Well, okay, I did when I started hearing some leaks about it through Twitter or X or... It's not X, it's Twitter. Fuck the name X. But I was hearing leaks about it through Twitter, so that still kind of threw me for a loop. Especially because this is the first time the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series has been seen since 2016 with that Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge game. I think it was on the Wii U. I don't have a lot of experience with this series. The only Mario vs. Donkey Kong game that I played was Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis on the DS. I didn't really play a lot of puzzle games in my youth, and even that game I didn't get a ton of time with, but looking at this remake, it seems pretty fun. The graphical overhaul looks stunning. The game itself just looks absolutely precious, and it's crazy just how creative this game allows you to be. As I've gotten older, I've kind of enjoyed some puzzle games a little bit more, and this one looks like it could be up my alley. The fact that it also has co-op sounds hella chaotic too, I can't lie. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this one. It looks really good, and it's coming out February 16th of 2024, so that's going to be something exciting to look forward to at the beginning of next year. On to some third-party stuff. We then got to take a look at Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Weirdly, this has been at a couple different gaming showcases throughout this year, but I've yet to talk about it in a video because it always happens to show up at a gaming showcase that I don't really plan to make a video on. So let's rectify that by giving my raw, brutally honest, unfiltered opinion on this game. It looks good. Really good, I'd say, honestly. I have never really played a Prince of Persia game myself. I don't really play a lot of Ubisoft games unless they have Rayman in the name. Or Watch Dogs. I did play that trilogy. But this looks like a really fun return. Even if I have heard some complaints which just make me go, ugh, about, oh my god, Prince of Persia's back, but it's a 2.5D game? The hell's wrong with the 2.5D game? This just looks so clean. The platforming looks great, the combat is incredibly fast-paced. I'd honestly say, even as someone who never really played this series, I'd be willing to make this my first Prince of Persia game. I'm gonna go a step further and say that I'd even take this over that Sands of Time remake that they were working on. Wonder whatever happened to that thing, or if it still even exists. But either way, this looks incredibly fun. I don't know if I'd get it specifically on the Switch, but I know it's a game that I would definitely be willing to try. And it's coming out January 18th, so that's going to be a fun early year game to look forward to as well. Moving on from there, we got Horizon Chase 2, a racing game from the Epic Games' own studio, Aquarius Game Studio. Previously on the Apple Arcade, but now it's coming to consoles, it would seem. It looks fine. Yeah, here it comes. A lot of it looks fines throughout this showcase. This seems perfectly fun in short bursts, but nothing that really jumps out to me. I don't mind racing games outside of some of the realistic ones, but this one just didn't really do all that much for me. It's probably cute, it's probably fun, just not anything that I'm gonna put a ton of time into. But it seems like it released the day of the Direct, so hopefully if you did play it, hopefully you're having some fun with it. After that, we gotta look at Super Crazy Rhythm Castle, new character-based rhythm game from Konami and developer Second Impact Games. I personally love rhythm games, but this one just doesn't really do all that much for me. I don't know what it is, but something about it seems kind of bland. And that's a shame because I think that character-based rhythm games sound like a pretty cool idea, but there's not really much about this that holds my attention that much. As much as I want to give it a chance, and as much as I hope that it turns out to be good, I just don't really see much in it that seems that exciting to me, even as someone that really enjoys rhythm games. Maybe you might see something I don't though, so it is coming out November 14th. If you're looking forward to it, I hope you end up having fun with it. After that, we got to look at Spy Anya Operation Memories, a new title from Bandai Namco and developer Groovebox Japan, based on the popular Spy Family manga and anime series. I have no connection to the Spy Family series, or really any manga/anime that's not Cyberpunk Edgerunners, so this kind of flew over my head during the show. I didn't even know in the moment that it was based on Spy Family, but it does seem cute if you're into the series being a life simulation type game centered around the character Anya. So yeah, it's definitely not for me, but if you are a fan, I hope it's something that you're looking forward to. It's coming out sometime next year, so you'll have to wait a little bit, but hopefully when it does come out, it's fun. Back into something that did catch my attention, we got to take another look at the Super Mario RPG remake. Again, I talked about this in my video on the last Nintendo Direct, but this just looks adorable. Having never played the original game, this looks like the perfect opportunity to finally give it a shot. There's not a whole lot I can say that I didn't say in my previous video based on what I saw in this Direct, but it's great to see this game return after so long. I feel like it's kind of a, not necessarily forgotten, but slightly underrated part of Nintendo's lineage and first-party history. I feel like it does tend to get a little bit forgotten among some of the SNES's other amazing games, so it's nice to see it make a return, and there are some pretty cool new features along the way too. Not that this is something I will be taking part in, but the fact that the game lets you refight the bosses but have them be a lot more powerful, that sounds kind of cool. This is something I'm definitely keeping on my radar. It's coming out November 17th, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to finally give it a try for myself. After that, they showed off Another Code Recollection, the remake collection of two games, Another Code 2 Memories, which was known as Trace Memory in America for the Nintendo DS, and Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories for the Wii. I'm sure this announcement is exciting to someone. I really don't know anything about the two games in this collection or what they are like. I think my research tells me they're point-and-click kind of games. So this flew over my head, and even after doing some research into what these games are, it didn't really seem like something that grabbed me necessarily. So yeah, it's nothing I'm that interested in, but I'm sure others are pretty pumped about it. It is at least cool to see obscure games like these get another chance on modern systems, and given that, from what I've heard, Another Code R was never localized in America, it's cool to see that finally get a release over here. And it's coming out January 19th, so if that's something you're interested in, give it a look. But then we got to see something else that was pretty fun. Princess Peach Showtime. Finally a full look at the Princess Peach game that was announced at the last Direct in June. Obviously, this was something I was really looking forward to seeing more of, because while I was interested in what I saw at the previous Direct, my brain was like, what kind of game is it? And after seeing this gameplay, it just looks precious. The general idea of the game is that it takes place in a stage play type thing, kind of like how Super Mario Bros. 3 was a stage play, with Peach being able to kind of transform into a bunch of different characters based on the play that she's performing in. Like, she can transform into a sword fighter or a detective. There's a scene where she's making a cake, which also really grabbed me for whatever reason. It just seems so cute and fun. Honestly, that's how I could describe this as a whole based on the footage that was shown. It just seems really cute and really fun. It's a clever take on a Mario spin-off, and I'm really excited to see what it's like when it eventually does come out. There is going to be a bit of a wait for it. It's not coming out until March 22nd of 2024, but I'm excited to see what it's like when it does come out. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's cool that for as many Mario games as we're going to be getting on the Switch in the near future, they're all kind of doing something unique and clever and fun, and This is a really big example of that. After that, we got to take a look at Saga Emerald Beyond, the latest entry in the long-running Saga series. I, once again, don't really know much about the series. I feel like it's one of those franchises where if you haven't gotten into it yet, you're probably not going to anytime soon unless you really like the genre. And after looking at the gameplay, it very much felt like a cool if you're into that kind of thing. Not something that left a huge impression on me, but I feel like it's going to be good for those who are more into this style of game. I know the Saga series is incredibly popular and it has a huge fan base, so I'm sure they're looking at this and getting pretty damn excited, and to those people, I hope it ends up being a good time. Again, you're going to have to wait a little bit. It's not coming out until sometime next year, but hopefully when it does come out, it ends up being really fun. But then we got what I think personally might have been one of the most exciting third-party announcements of the show, if not the most exciting third-party announcement. One that I really did not expect, but I thought it was cool that it showed up. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 Remastered starring Lara Croft. This was a really pleasant surprise. A full remaster collection of the original Tomb Raider trilogy, handled in tandem by Aspyr and Crystal Dynamics. From what I understand, I feel like this is something a lot of people have asked for a pretty long time now, so it's nice to see that it finally exists. I personally have not played these original Tomb Raider games. The only Tomb Raider games that I've played are the recent trilogy, the Survivor trilogy, I think is what it's called. So I don't have much experience with these, but I think this is something I'd be willing to look into. Not just because these games are a big part of gaming history, and I like gaming history, but because it sounds like it's going to have some nice quality of life improvements to it as well. Notably, a new control scheme, which I know that sounds like a very minor thing for me to get excited about, but as a natural-born hater of tank controls, I don't know if I would have been interested in this if I had heard that it was only going to have tank controls. So I think having an improved and more modern control scheme might sweeten the deal a little bit for me. And it is cool to see how much of like a definitive edition this is, or how much content it's going to have, because beyond having the original 3 games, it comes with all of their expansions, I believe, which is a nice little way to sweeten the deal. It sounds like it's going to be a great remaster collection, and for $30, that's not a bad price whatsoever. I feel like I'll have to keep my eye out for it. It's coming out February 14th, Valentine's Day 2024, and I definitely hope that it ends up being good when it does come along. Back to first parties real quick, we then got to take another look at Detective Pikachu Returns. I actually got distracted during this part of the show when it was being shown because my brother paused the stream when it showed up. He was trying to explain Detective Pikachu lore to me, which is something I can't believe I just said in a sentence. Looking at the footage afterwards, it looks fine, I guess? I never played the first Detective Pikachu, so I don't have any prior experience with it. And the trailer hardly showed much of the game itself. I've kind of noticed that a lot of the early trailers for this game have not really shown a ton of the actual game, and I know it's probably because this game isn't super gameplay heavy, but even then, the fact that most of what I've seen of this game is a cutscene, or multiple cutscenes for that matter, doesn't really get me that head over heels excited for it. I'm sure it's not a bad game, and if I hear good things about it, maybe I'd be willing to give it a try, but otherwise, I can't say I'm that crazy excited for it. I can name a couple other Pokemon spin-offs I'd like to get a new entry out of before this. It's coming out October 6th, and with how many giant games are coming out this October, I can only hope it doesn't get swallowed up by all of them. But then Nintendo showed us Trombone Champ. This game is stupid, and that's why I love it. I had no idea this wasn't already on the Switch, given that it kind of looks a little bit like Wii Music and kind of reminds me of Wii Music. I had thought being on the Switch would have been like an instant priority, but apparently it was only on PC and Mac. To be fair, it might have been made by an indie developer who only had the budget to put it out on PC and Mac, and now they just finally have enough to put it on the Switch. Either way, it's good to see this land on the Switch. From what I've seen of the game, it's utter ridiculousness in the best of ways, and that aforementioned "it reminds me of Wii Music" kind of thing makes it feel like it fits perfectly on the Switch. I probably won't play it myself, honestly, but it seems great if you love yourself some good dumb fun gaming. and it came out on the day of the Direct, so if you have a Switch, you can jump on it now, and if you have already jumped on it, I hope you're having a good time. Couple smaller ones coming up, nothing that really blew me away. First off, we have Battle Crush, a survival game from South Korean developer NCSoft, the team behind Guild Wars and City of Heroes. It seems cute, and the visual style of the game kind of reminds me of Skylanders, and the brawling also seems fun, but honestly, I'm already kind of worn down by Battle Royale games, so this kind of flew over my head. In a crowded market, I hope it does carve out its own niche, but I'm not necessarily holding my breath for it. It is nice that it's going to be a free-to-play game, though, and there is a closed beta coming out in October, so you can give it a try before its full release, which is sometime next spring. Again, not anything I'm that crazy about, but I hope that it turns out well. From there, we got to look at War Tales, a Switch port of an open-world tactical RPG from Shiro Games, the team behind Evoland and the recent Dune Spice Wars. This was another it looks fine for me. The combination of genres and styles isn't really my thing, so nothing that this footage showed me was going to get me interested, and it didn't necessarily jump out at me and scream, "Play me, play me!" If this is your style, I hope you have a good time with it, but for me, I think I'm gonna pass. It did come out on the day of the Direct, so chances are you're probably already playing it. Again, I hope it's a fun time. Much more interesting to me was the next game, Contra Operation Galuga, a full reimagining of the original NES Contra game being handled by WayForward. Honestly, who better to make something like this than WayForward? I don't have any experience with the Contra series, but after how much disdain Contra Rogue Core got a few years ago, it's nice to see a Contra game that feels more akin to the classic style of Contra, just being like a traditional shoot 'em up that also offers some co-op gameplay and difficulty levels, which is nice because as someone who is not crazy into a lot of super difficult games, the fact that there are some easier difficulty options might sweeten the deal a little bit for me. Even as someone who hasn't played a Contra game, I honestly wouldn't mind giving this one a try when it does come along. There's no confirmed date, but it's coming sometime early next year, so maybe if there's not much else coming out, I might be tempted to give this one a try. I think I might have to see a little bit more of it as someone who's never played Contra, but it looks pretty good, so hopefully this one turns out well. Then we got to take a look at Unicorn Overlord. Amazing title. I don't know why, but it just sounds cool. As for the game itself, it's a tactical RPG from VanillaWare, the team behind Miramas of the Demon Blade and 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim. That looks fine. Again, it looks fine. These kinds of games do very little for me, so there's not much I can say about it other than that the pixel art looks pretty as hell. Otherwise, I'll leave this to those that are more interested in it. It's coming out March 8th, so if you're looking forward to it, mark your calendars, because you're going to have to wait a little bit. Then we got to look at some first-party stuff. First off, we got to see Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, a much larger look at the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon remaster, complete with a total removal of the Dark Moon subtitle. I guess Nintendo didn't really like it. It was only called that in America, so maybe they just didn't really want to keep the subtitle? I don't know. Either way, what we got here was just a more extended look after this was first announced in the last Nintendo Direct. For probably many of you, you've already played this game, so there wasn't really much that they could show in this Direct that would either convince you to play it again or not convince you to play it again. For me, despite the fact that I love the Luigi's Mansion series, Dark Moon is the only Luigi's Mansion game that I never got to play. I know I mentioned that in the last video, but I just thought I'd mention it again. So the sheer announcement of it was enough to get me pretty intrigued. And after looking at the gameplay, it once again looks fun. It's hard to top the first Luigi's Mansion, and I don't expect this one to, but I'm sure it's going to be a fun time, and I'm definitely willing to give it a shot when it does come out. It's coming next summer, so there's still going to be a bit of a wait for it, but definitely keeping this one on my radar for the future. Then we got a few non-game announcements, the first one being Nintendo Museum, just about some new gallery that they're building in Japan, and they showed off that the roof is a question mark block. Cool. Honestly, I bet this is going to be cool. I mean, a Nintendo History Museum, that kind of sounds like my personal heaven, honestly. But no way would I be able to fly out to Japan for that. Construction on it is set to be complete, or expected to be complete, in March of 2024, so hopefully that's something you guys go check out. If you're allowed to, film some videos and post it on YouTube so I could see what it looks like. Thanks. Then from there we got some Amiibo talk. I sometimes forget that Nintendo still makes these things, but there's actually quite a bit coming as far as amiibos, so buckle up, I'm just going to run through it pretty quick. Zelda and Ganondorf amiibos as part of the Tears of the Kingdom line are coming November 3rd. Noah and Mio as part of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 line are coming January 19th, and the Sora Smash Ultimate amiibo is coming out next year. Again, I'd be more interested in all of this if I still cared about amiibos, but regardless, I'm happy the Smash collection is close to being finished, so there's that. Also, admittedly, as a Kingdom Hearts fan, it must be cool to have a Sora amiibo. But then we got to what was one of the more polarizing announcements of the show, the announcement of F-Zero 99. Yes, the first F-Zero game to be released since F-Zero Climax in 2004, and given that that was Japan only, the first F-Zero game to release in America since F-Zero GP Legend in 2004. So yes, it has been a long time since F-Zero. Fans have been asking for a new game for a very long time. It leaked before the Direct that something F-Zero related was going to be shown off. I think it also did leak that it was going to be this exact game, F-Zero 99. And it got announced, and there was quite a bit of disappointment, actually. I think the general gist of the disappointment seemed to stem from F-Zero's been gone for almost 20 years, it finally comes back, and it comes back as a 99-player Battle Royale online-only type version of the original SNES game. And in that regard, I do get the disappointment to some extent. I mean, personally, I would have probably liked to see a remaster of F-Zero X or GX or something like that. Or again, a wholly new game that can be played offline. But I'm going to play devil's advocate for a little bit and say I actually like the idea of an F-Zero 99. Yes, I know these games tend to go offline pretty quick, so I don't know how long it's going to stay online. And it's probably a weird game to, like, gauge interest with. Like, this of all games being the, let's see how interested people are in F-Zero kind of game. Might seem a little weird, but honestly, how fun and chaotic must it be to do an F-Zero race with 99 people? I mean, especially compared to a game like Mario Kart, F-Zero is especially known for speed, so having 99 kart racers sounds kinda crazy. And at least from the gameplay that they showed during the Direct, it looked fun enough. I personally don't really plan to play it and kind of can't play it because I don't have a Switch Online membership. I mean, my brother does, and I'm sure he'd let me play it if I wanted to, but I kind of don't necessarily. Maybe I might, I don't know. But I think it's kind of harmless as a free-to-play game. I agree it would have been nice to have a more full-fledged F-Zero game, but ultimately I can't be too upset with this. I can understand where the fans are disappointed, but I can't be too angry about it. It's a cute, fun little way to gauge interest in the series, and honestly, it sounds chaotic, so hey, I don't think it's that bad. It came out on the day of the Direct, and some of the reactions I was seeing on Twitter afterwards were actually pretty positive, so it's nice to see people are having some fun with it. Again, I personally would like to see a more full-fledged F-Zero game that has offline capabilities as well, but for now, I don't think this is that bad. It's cute, it's fun, it's pretty harmless, it's free to play. If you have Switch Online, give it a try. Maybe you might enjoy yourself, who knows. Moving on from there, we got to take a look at Bandletale, a League of Legends story, a new crafting RPG from Riot Forge and developer Lazy Bear Games. I honestly couldn't believe this was somehow tied to League of Legends when I saw it. It kind of looks like Stardew Valley to me, and some of the comparisons I saw did mention Stardew Valley. That's cool if you're into that, but I personally am not, so I won't necessarily be trying it out. It looks cute though. I just don't really have much interest in this style of game. It's coming out in 2024, so you're going to have to wait a little while for it if it's something that you're interested in, but maybe you're more into it than I am. And if you're into League of Legends spin-off games, this wasn't the only thing you got to see at the Direct. Because after that, we got to look at Song of Nunu, a League of Legends story. Another spin-off, this one being developed by Tequila Works, the team behind Rhyme, which is a game I honestly personally love. This is more of a 3D adventure game that looks kinda cute. Nothing I'm that crazy about, but I can't pretend that sledding down ice mountains on a Yeti doesn't seem cool as hell. And again, like I said, I did enjoy Rhyme, so I do have at least some familiarity with Tequila Works. I don't know if I will play this when it comes out, but it seems cool, and it looks kind of cute, so I'm definitely going to root for it to do well. And it's coming out November 1st, so if you're interested in it, there you go. Hope you enjoy it when it does come along. But also coming along in November, in a game I'm definitely looking forward to, WarioWare Move It. Not a whole lot I can say about this that I didn't say in my last Direct video, but I'll say it again, that this looks fun as hell. Given that WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii is one of my favorites in the series, I'm super excited to have a full sequel to the game, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again, I am more than ready to make myself look like a damn fool in the name of playing this game, because that's how WarioWare goes. You make yourself look like a fool. And the multiplayer modes that are going to be in this look like they're also going to add really well to the chaos that is WarioWare as a series. So yeah, this is something I'm definitely going to be grabbing at launch, even with all the big October games coming out, and this coming out November 3rd, it's definitely going to be on my radar. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I grab it day one. By far one of my more anticipated games of the year. A couple other smaller ones coming up, so I might blow through a few, but the next one we got to see was Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. I remember hearing about this at an Xbox showcase last year. It's a new RPG from the creator of Suikoden that serves as something of a spiritual successor. Once more, not really my kind of game, but the pixel art design is pretty as hell. And given how long it's been in development for, I'm glad to see that it finally has a release date. I hope those who are more into these games are excited for it. It's coming out April 29th of next year, and I do think I remember at that Xbox showcase that they said it would be a day one release on Xbox Game Pass, so if I suddenly become interested, I'll probably try it out there. From there, we got to look at Eastward Octopia, which seems to be a DLC expansion for the previously released Eastward, a pixel-based action-adventure RPG from 2021. It's certainly pretty, and it definitely looks like it has a sort of relaxing vibe to it, but I feel like Nintendo Directs are often jam-packed with these kind of games, and it can make them blur just a little bit for me. I'm glad they exist, but I just personally don't have much use for them. It is nice that you can play this without playing the main story of the game, though. That's kind of just a nice feature to have. And it's coming out this holiday season, so if you enjoyed Eastward before, hopefully this DLC is fun to you. From there, we got to look at Wargroove 2, the sequel to a turn-based tactics game developed by Chucklefish. It gives me a lot of vibes of the Nintendo Wars series, like Advance Wars and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a huge inspiration. And it definitely seems cool if you're into that, but yeah, I don't know how many more unique ways I could say it looks fine about some of these games. Because that's the thing about the show, there really wasn't anything that I thought looked bad. Just a lot of stuff that's not really in my wheelhouse, and Wargroove 2 is another example of that. It looks quality, and I'm sure it's going to be a solid game, but it just doesn't seem like much that I'd play. It's coming out October 5th, though, so if you want to add one more game to the long list of October games that you're most likely looking forward to, there you go. And throw on one more because another announcement came in the form of Dave the Diver, a Switch port of an adorable pixel adventure game previously only available on PC and Mac. The art design of this is absolutely stunning, and it seems this game has a lot of elements of management, action-adventure, RPG, some really cool mixes of genres, and it seems like it was extremely well received when it released on PC and Mac earlier this year. So it's nice to see a smaller game like this expand and get a release on another platform. Again, it's not really my kind of thing, but it's great to see it get a Switch release. With that said, it's coming October 26th. There is a demo out now, but the full release is again in October, so hopefully this one doesn't get swallowed up amidst all the other big October games. Winding down on the show, we had a couple other fun announcements. The last wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I can't believe we're at the end, but it's really great how much content they've added to this game. The only confirmed course that they mentioned was Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, which is already pretty cool, even if I didn't play a ton of Mario Kart Wii. But a lot of my excitement came from the characters they announced. I was only expecting like 1 or 2 more, but we ended up getting 4. And yeah, Peachette is a weird choice, but fucking Diddy Kong! I was hearing rumors for a long time that Diddy Kong didn't make it into Mario Kart 8 because apparently they were doing some kind of Diddy Kong Racing remake or remaster and that was impacting his ability to make it in the game. So the fact that he's here makes me very happy. I'm also really happy that Funky Kong is here. I think that's pretty awesome. And Pauline is here too, which is great. I've said it before, but Mario Kart 8 is one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, and they've really turned it into a special love letter to all things Mario Kart. And I'm so happy to see how much content has been added to the game, and I'm excited to see what other stages end up coming to the game when the booster course comes out this winter. So that was pretty cool, and then under the radar, this was another one that I was pretty excited about, but we got to take a look at the next map in Among Us. It's called The Fungal, And personally, I love Among Us. I know that maybe the hype for it has kind of died down since COVID, but I still get a kick out of playing it with my friends. We haven't played it in a while, but I think the addition of a new map could influence us to jump back in. Given how chaotic the airship was, I'm very interested to see what goes down with this map, some of the new hazards, some of the new tasks. They already look pretty crazy. It is coming out this October, so hey, one more thing for everyone to play, because we sure don't have enough of that in October. Then we just got a quick sizzle reel. I don't really have much to show here for a sizzle reel. All I could say is it's pretty much them saying, here's everything you just saw and when it's coming out. But one thing I will say is I'm glad that they limited Super Mario Bros. Wonder to the sizzle reel. It would be very much a Nintendo thing and a several publishers thing to do the opposite and devote a long amount of time to a game like Mario Bros. Wonder that just got a direct, so I'm glad they kept it to the sizzle reel. And it's not like they announced any like shadow drops in the sizzle reel or anything, it was just all the games that you expected, so nothing crazy there. But then, to close out the show, we got one of the craziest, just most mind-blowing, holy shit announcements that I have ever had, that I've ever witnessed at a Nintendo Direct. One that I could not believe I was seeing in front of my eyes, and even now I'm like pinching myself because I can't believe it's real. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door remake on the Switch. If only you could have seen my reaction when this was announced. I was literally like falling over my couch. I was jumping up and down. I had my hands on my head. I like fell down on the floor and I was spread eagle. I really felt at one point like I was gonna pass out because I was so excited. Again, I keep having to pinch myself because I can't believe it's real. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is getting a Switch re-release. And it's a full, I don't know if we're gonna call it a remake or a remaster, it doesn't even fucking matter. Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is coming to the Switch. This is crazy to me, and it is something I absolutely did not see coming, which adds to the hype of it. Because I did hear some leaks and rumors before about a Paper Mario remake, but the thing is, the leaks that I was hearing were saying that the Paper Mario remake was going to be a remake of the original game on the N64, which would have been more than fine. That is another game that I absolutely love and I consider a 10 out of 10 game, but Thousand Year Door is just my favorite in the series. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's another 10 out of 10 game to me. And it's a game that I just cannot say enough good things about. And as much as I tried with some of the newer Paper Marios, I'm not too big on any of the games after Super. And I'm personally not super crazy about how it changed direction, so I was kind of in the boat of just like accepting that we weren't going to get like a traditional Paper Mario style game anytime soon. But this, I think, more than quells my appetite. The fact that Nintendo even acknowledged this game in particular and was willing to do a remake or remaster of it just has me super excited, and the footage itself just looks incredible. I mean, visually it looks amazing, of course, and it doesn't look like they're trying to tamper with the gameplay too much, which is great. Honestly, I'm so excited for this. Like, I love Thousand Year Door, and I will give myself any reason to play it again, so having it on the Switch, I don't have the words other than wow. And even when I was like rewatching the direct to take notes for this video, I got to that part and I was still like just in a total state of like my mind was blown, like I couldn't believe it was real. I'm just so excited to get to play this game again on the Switch. I'm gonna have to wait a little bit because all they said is that it's coming out next year, but I can wait. I'm just more than excited to have this. This was easily the best announcement of the show and one of my personal favorite announcements I've seen at any Nintendo Direct. And I would honestly say it boosted the Direct for me. Much of the show was just kind of fine to me, but this just freaking lifted and carried the entire Direct in a huge way. So all in all, to sum things up, if I can calm myself down from my Thousand Year Door hype, this was a fine show with some good titles, but not one of the most hyped shows overall. And I think for me, this Nintendo Direct was one of the first signs to me that the Switch is really starting to wind down. A lot of the games that we saw in this show, a lot of the new announcements, were re-releases, which isn't a bad thing because Nintendo's re-releases lately have been quality, but a lot of the heaviest hitters that Nintendo had to show were just that, remasters or re-releases. And there's also a lot of Mario to look forward to. Like, we got, between games that were and were not shown at the Direct, there's Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Super Mario RPG. I know it's not really a Mario game, but WarioWare Move It is like a side character in the Mario line. Princess Peach's Showtime, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, Mario vs. Donkey Kong Remake, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. There's a lot of Mario to look forward to, which I am not surprised about. I mean, the movie just made $1 billion in the box office. It was the biggest movie of this year until Barbie came along. And it's not bad because all the games that I mentioned are pretty different from one another and there's enough diversity to make this kind of exciting. But again, I hope you like Mario because that's what you're going to have to look forward to for the next year on the Nintendo Switch. But either way, yeah, I think that after this Direct, I'm starting to feel like we may only have one more Direct, if that, devoted entirely to the current Nintendo Switch. Like, I've been hearing Switch 2 rumors every week, of course, but now I think based on what they showed here, this is the first time that I'm really starting to feel like, okay, they are just kind of making sure some games get out and they're continuing to support the current Switch, but the next system is on its way. And we're going to be hearing about that sometime soon. And this Direct was the first signal of that. So ultimately, it was still a solid show, and there's plenty to look forward to nevertheless. But buckle up because it's about to be a transitional period for Nintendo. Which is exciting because a new system's coming along, but it's also terrifying because a new system's coming along. This is Nintendo after all. Overall, if I had to grade the show, I'd probably say it's between like a C+ and a B-. I might be leaning toward the B- just because of my excitement toward the Thousand Year Door re-release, but it could lean more toward a C+ just because there was a lot of just at the show. Nothing bad, just a lot of like, that was fine. Ultimately, a decent show with enough solid stuff to look forward to, but like I said, we're entering into a transitional period for Nintendo, and we're probably going to be hearing about that new system sometime soon. No moment has made that clearer to me than this Nintendo Direct right here. As I said, I'm sure we only have about one more Nintendo Direct, if that, that's going to be solely devoted to the current console. So prepare yourselves for that. But that's just my opinion on this Nintendo Direct. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it more than I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Were you just completely indifferent toward it? What were your favorite announcements of the show? Your least favorite announcements of the show? What's the game you're most looking forward to? Are you as hype as I am for the Thousand Year Door re-release? Whatever your thoughts and opinions are, leave them down in the comments below. Let's keep this civil and have some fun as we like to do. If you guys want to hit like and subscribe and support some of my other ventures that I have linked in the description, thank you. If not, it's no big deal. I totally understand. And as soon as I stop this recording, I'm going to be doing the next video, which is going to be on the PlayStation State of Play. That will probably not be anywhere near as long as this video, but hopefully it's something you guys are looking forward to all the same. So stay tuned for that, but until then, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.